Listen, it is 7 o'clock, everybody. It is 7 o'clock. I'm so excited. Listen, I already have Carmen on here because we've been talking. She has so much information about insurance. Listen, I've learned so much already. And this is the thing, man. I don't care how much you think that you know. When you have a professional, Carmen, how long have you been doing insurance?
Oh gosh, I was doing it 15 years prior to official. Well, I say retired, semi-retired, but prior to getting out before my youngest son was born. But I still do it on the side,
Mm-hmm. So
and
15
so
years.
yes.
Let me tell y'all something. When y'all have a vet like that, 15 years, you're going to learn something. And not only learn something, but you're going to expand your mind on what you need for your children. I mean, our children need so much right now. And when I
Hmm.
say so much, I mean literally we need the support, we need the help, we need the guidance, and insurance is so important. It's a lot of people that really don't understand insurance. I know some
Hmm.
people, especially like car insurance, people say, yeah, I got to have car insurance, or but they don't know about their policy. And
Hmm.
Carmen was just explaining to me how important it is to know about your policy. Tell us a little bit about just how important it is, Carmen, just how important it is to know about that policy that you have for your children.
Well, I mean, so there's so many. There's several key factors that you need to know about your insurance policy. One, we all know that we have to know what the premium is, what we're going to be paying out, whether our employer is going to be paying half of it, if we're going to have to be paying all of it, or if you have like a Medicaid policy, okay, or something that falls under the realm of Medicaid to where it's not straight Medicaid, and you do have a small premium that you're having to pay. So for tonight's purposes, we're going to speak, but I'm going to say commercial, which commercial can be Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, anything in that realm. And then
Mhm.
I'll speak about Medicaid, which there's still subsidies under Medicaid, but just since there's so much and we have so little time, so I'll just speak commercial and Medicaid.
Right.
So you need to know your premium, your deductible, because I mean, here's the thing, guys. You say, okay, well, if I get one with a higher deductible, then I have a lower premium. That's great, but here's the key: if you have a high deductible, that's everything that has to be paid before the insurance starts actually paying something. So, say you have a $5,000 deductible, your premium may
Mhm.
be like $100, which is great, but you've got to pay $5,000 out of pocket first before they'll pay anything. And don't forget, you have to have pay your co-pays too. So you show up and they'll say, okay, well, you haven't met your deductible yet, so it's going to be 125 for today, plus you have to pay your copay. You're like,
Mhm.
crap, that's me. That's $150 that I'm having to pay. So I mean, and then especially like our kids, I mean, my two youngest ones, we are in therapy 5 days a week. I mean, we have PT, OT, speech, ABA that we're doing, music therapy that we're doing, right? So I mean, that's a lot of money out of pocket. So I mean, that's one thing that you've got to know about. Then the other part is so you have your co-insurance, which is some policies it's like 80-20, 60-40, 70-30. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
so your co-insurance, how I like to explain that is once you've met your deductible, okay, we'll say $1,000, makes it easier. I like good whole round numbers so I don't have to think too much right now, right? So you got your $1,000 you paid. Woo, that's all I have to worry about, my $1,000.
Mhm.
Still have your copay you got to pay, right? So I'm paying my $25 or $40, whatever your copay is.
Mhm.
Why did I get a $200 bill in the mail? Because you know what? Your insurance only paid the co-insurance. Say they paid 80% of, say, $100. Okay, they paid 80% of the $100, so that would still leave you responsible for the 20.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yes.
so you still have that. So your co-insurance, you got to know what your co-insurance is, and you're going to pay that 20%, 30% until you've hit your out of pocket max. That is our beautiful number, your out of pocket max. So
Uh-huh.
if the out of pocket max, what means is your, say it's $5,000, that is the max amount that you are going to be out of pocket, then the insurance will start paying 100%.
Okay.
So when you get your policy at the beginning of the year, you've got to know this, people. You got to know, what is my premium? What is my deductible? What is my co-insurance, which is the 80, 20, 70, 30, 60, 40?
Yeah.
What is my out of pocket max? Because I'm telling you, that out of pocket max,
Uh-huh.
sometimes it gets dusted over, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't think about it until, again, as we're going to all these therapies, some of us that have lower ones, we hit it within the first 3 4 months of the year, then we're great the
Mhm.
rest of the year. Then
Yeah.
other times it may take us longer to hit that. And then,
Oh yeah.
if you have a larger one. So really, whenever you renew your policy, some people renew at the beginning of the year, some people renew in July. Just depends on when it is. You
Hmm.
got to know those things. So
So is this every state or is this like, because I know you're in Florida.
yes, I am in
So
Florida. So for commercial, okay. So we're speaking of commercial now. So commercial insurance, every state, yes, you are going to have those, what I say, those four things: the premiums, your out of pocket, your copay, your co-insurance. Now, when you're speaking with Medicaid is a different beast of its own, and
mm,
Medicaid varies state to state. Even though it's federal, it still varies state to state. Because, example, here in Florida, you have your straight Medicaid, and then you have different policies that fall under Medicaid that get billed very differently.
ooh,
And then I know from personal experience in Illinois, oh, hang on, rewind. So the three policies that fall very differently, and then you have one that's outside of the Medicaid realm, but still, because it's based upon income. So
uh,
you will still have your, it'll be income based. So you still have your premium. You'll still have a smaller copay, but
mhm,
they may still pay 100%, but you still may have your co-insurance. The only thing you won't have more than
mhm,
likely is your deductible. So again, even with those policies, you've got to be careful. You've got to really read through them. They'll be cheaper than the commercial insurance, but still you will have expenses that, that we have to, but for every expense we've got a budget. Because I mean,
yeah, yeah,
there's always things that pop up, and then there's always another therapy that our kids may need. And then this is the other thing too, is you may have a wonderful policy for PTOT and speech, because most insurances, PTOT and speech isn't too much to worry about. Even with your Medicaid, those are still kind of the traditional routes that they usually start off with our kids, right? They get diagnosed early. They say, okay, let's put them in PT, speech, and OT. This is the route that you're going to do. I know from experience with me with my oldest one, that's what we did. We did the PTOT speech, no problem getting approved for that, until we want to sprinkle the ABA on there. Then
yeah.
that's when
I
it
heard
became a different
ABA
beast.
is the biggest problem for everybody. Now, let me tell y'all, just know Carmen is not. This is not like she's a new. Her kid. How many kids do you have on the spectrum, Carmen?
Three,
So she has three children on the spectrum. What are their ages?
14, 3, and 2.
14, 3, and 2. So understand, we are not talking to a rookie here. We are talking to someone that has experience, not only in insurance, but she has experience in autism. So she
Mhm.
she knows, and she went from one state, okay, to another state. So she's going to explain. So if you have questions about, just insurance in your particular state, how it may work, I'm sure she'll have an answer. Now, if she doesn't, then she has or knows somebody that does have
Mhm.
the answer to, especially stuff like Medicaid, and these therapies that we need for our children. And just like she said, explain to us how difficult ABA really is to get through, you know.
So I will say, I worked for a ABA company. I worked for an ABA company as a therapist, and I also worked at the ABA company on the insurance side. I did intakes, I did the billing, and I also did the authorization request for our families. The part that I found personally most frustrating was especially our older kids, like, our kids' ages, like the 14-year-olds, the 13-year-olds, the 12-year-olds, that their parents were like, okay, we want our kids to get ABA, because I know when we were living in Arkansas at the time when my son was initially diagnosed, ABA wasn't really a thing. It was just something that, I mean, ABA has been
Yeah.
around for years, but there weren't a lot of providers. It wasn't well known. It wasn't talked about. And we had two providers in the state, one in the Northeast section, and then one I think was like down south. So to go there just was not feasible. So had to wait till later on. And I've noticed a lot of parents, fell into that category. Well, here's the problem. When our kids were getting diagnosed, there's something called the diagnostic criteria. There's
Mhm.
something called a DSM-4, and then there's the DSM-5. What that is what your practitioner will use to diagnose your children. So Gabe came in at the time under the DSM 4. Okay. So
Mhm.
with the DSM 4, they had what was called Asperger's, they had the PDD. I think PDD and NOS. I know for sure was PDD. Then they had high functioning autism, and then they had severe autism, and then they had everything else underneath it. Okay,
Mhm.
so Gabe, we were blessed. I will say that, because the person Gabe got had six physicians evaluate him. So he was under a panel when he got diagnosed.
Oh.
They went ahead and gave him the high functioning autism diagnosis, which
Mhm.
had they did have the F84. Well, you need the F84.0, but it had the autism part attached to it.
Mhm.
So that is important. But now with the DSM-5, the
Mhm.
magic code that you need is the F84.0, which is autism. So for our older kids, they may not have that. They may have the PDD or the Asperger's, and you go to get your kid for ABA, and you're like, okay, but they're on the spectrum, because it's documented that they're on the spectrum. These are the
Absolutely.
behaviors that we're seeing. So my kids should be able to get services.
Ugh.
The answer will be denied by your insurance company,
Ugh.
because they do not have the F84.0 diagnosis.
Diagnosis on it. Oh
And
gosh.
I will tell you from experience, I fought with so many insurance companies. I mean, not only, it was more from like a mom to mom, because I knew how bad that mom, I mean, they're calling, they're crying, they're saying, my
Oh
kid
yeah.
needs services.
Yeah.
Why can't you get my kid approved? Why can't my kid get started? And it's not the insurance company telling them. It would be me and say, hey, you
Oh.
don't have the diagnosis. And so I
Mm.
would fight with the insurance company. I'm like, please explain to me. And also for my son, please explain to me why they can't get services, because I mean, they're still on the spectrum.
Yeah.
5 years later, is it going to change them being on the
The
spectrum? It's just
spectrum. Yes.
it's just now ABA is more known, right? We've There
Mhm.
more research. I mean, it's definitely evidence based, and it's being talked about more. And so, as insurance companies are starting to come around and receive it, but
Mhm.
what they haven't come around to is just because of the older kids with the different diagnosis, even though it's on the spectrum, doesn't mean that they still don't need the services. So this is what one company, I won't say what the insurance company is, but I remember the story. This particular insurance company, because I was talking to the reviewer and I said, look, please explain to me. Because they told me to go back and tell the parent that they needed to get their child reevaluated because the diagnosis was too old. And it was about 5 years. They had been diagnosed for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what do you mean the diagnosis is too old? And they said, well, a lot has changed. I said, yeah, you're right. Things change. But unless you have interventions, it's not going to change for the better. This parent is contacting us because they need help. And now you're telling me to go back and tell them that they're going to have to get reevaluated. And that's going to be on your hands because you guys are going to have to pay for it. But at the particular state I was in, the waiting list to get reevaluated was about a year and a half at that time. So now this is another year and a half that the family has to wait for services because you're saying their diagnosis is too old. I mean, that's not right. And they're paying you guys for a service.
Oh,
You know, you're supposed to supply them, they're paying you. And so, I mean, I went back and forth with this particular agent and I was able to get
oh,
them
good,
conditionally approved to go ahead and at
good.
least get the eval done and then get started. But we only had a 6 month window, and they said, we're only going to give you a conditional authorization and it's going to be based upon 6 months.
But I'm trying to understand why. Why do they need them re-diagnosed or
Because
and it's just
when you
not I
go,
don't know what state you were in at the moment, but I know that's how it is in Georgia too. Like, I think I have to do it, like, every 2 years or something like that,
yes. And the
and I'm
part that makes no sense to me, Courtney, is that because I know with ABA, what this particular agent told me is that we want to prove that it's working. We want to see gains. Okay, yes, that is great. But you're going to see gains within the data of the ABA.
yeah, the
Going,
therapist, yeah,
yeah, but going to get re-evaluated
evaluated.
um, by your developmental pediatrician, neurologist, or whichever one you're. Now, that's the other thing, too. You got to be careful because different states, when you move, like we were, like I said, Gabe had a
Ooh,
whole panel of doctors that evaluated him. I mean, it was 6 physicians watching it. Oh my gosh, Courtney, it was six
ah,
hours. We were there 6 hours, and then we did a follow up with neuropsych every 2 years, right? And so the first one with neuropsych was 6 hours. The next one was 2 hours. But when we moved down here to Florida, it wasn't a problem. They're like, oh, okay, neuropsych eval, see this, okay, we'll
oh,
accept your diagnosis. I had
well,
another
that's
friend that
good.
moved from Tennessee that got her diagnosis from the neurologist. They questioned that and made her go to a developmental pediatrician. So she had her
What?
diagnosis. Yes, 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 ma'am.
That's not
And so
right.
she's like, this doesn't make any sense. So I will tell you guys from my experience is that, and I don't know why, because if you are a professional pediatrician development, and I get developmental pediatricians, neurologists, they see more, they're trained more in this.
Mhm,
And I know from what I've heard that pediatricians will refer on to developmental pediatrician. That happened in my case with the two youngest ones.
mhm.
But
That makes sense, though. That makes sense.
yes, that part makes sense, but I was like, why
Mhm,
will they not honor the neurologist diagnosis? She can never get an answer, but in order for him to get services here, that's what she had to do. So I tell
wow.
you guys, if you guys can get into a developmental pediatrician, please do to get your diagnosis to save you some heartache down the road because that's the worst when you think you have your paperwork and you're ready to get services started, you have your referral, and they say, sorry, we can't continue with services, or no, we don't. Um, recognize the diagnosis here. I mean, because to me, autism diagnosis is an autism diagnosis, no matter what state you're in.
Now, I know that I had some questions about the amount of money you get for different therapists from insurance, therapy from insurance. Like, so what does the money look like? So I know a lot of people pay out of pocket, but I know with insurance it should give you a certain amount per a number of months or something like that. How does that
Yeah,
work?
what that's called is your authorization. So this is something that your facility, whatever you take your kiddos to, they will get an authorization. Usually it's about every 6 months you get your authorization.
Hmm.
Oh, if you can't, well, you don't have to. I recommend it, but just for me, I like to get a copy of the insurance. I like to get a copy of the authorization. And I think it's just because of my history with insurance. If in the
Hmm.
event it was to get lost or something gets transposed, or say they may have a different amount. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. So it's 6 months. So
Uh-huh.
let's just January to June 30th.
June.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they usually do it either in hours or they do it in units, depending on what it
Mm.
is. I know with ABA, they did it in units, okay? And then we had to
Mhm.
convert everything.
And a
So
unit
you,
is what?
oh, hold on. Let me think. A unit is like it's billed like per 15 minutes. So one
Oh, okay.
unit is equal to 15 minutes,
15
okay?
minutes. Yeah.
Um, that part is how they break it down, but it's important to know what you're authorized for, right?
Mhm.
Because if you go 2 times a week thinking you can go 2 times a week, because this is what happened in my experience. So we're going to hop over to Medicaid for a second, okay? And this can
Mhm.
happen with commercial. So my youngest son, he goes to OT twice a week. We're going
Mhm.
to OT, showing up to our appointments. Do do. I get out of the car, and the he goes into a session. The therapist comes out and tells me like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I was just notified from the office that you have a $1,500 cap, and how do you want to do this?" And I said, $1,500 cap? What do you mean? And they said, yeah, you have a $1,500 cap. So do you want to drop down to once a week? I went, no, I don't want to drop down to once a week. I want to talk about this $1,500 cap.
Yeah.
Why do I have like, are you talking about like for the year? Are we talking about for the authorization? No, she was like, no, it's for the whole year. I went, no. The fifth, I said $1,500 cap at coming twice a week will only get me about 3 months of OT. What is my
Yeah.
son supposed to do for the rest of the year? What is he supposed to do? I mean, you're telling me I'm going to use it in 3 months and then he's not going to have anything. So I'm going to tell you what I did, because that's not right, because that's not what the authorization said. The authorization said that he was approved for 6 months to go. I think they do. I'm not sure how they do theirs, but it broke down to 6 months, twice a
Mhm.
week. Okay, for 30 minutes, so an hour a week or twice a week for 30 minutes at a time.
Mhm.
That's what it broke down to. But I was like, so how can this? No, there, no, that's not what it said. That's not it. So I went to the website and I could see where on the website where the $1,500 came from, but that had nothing to do with my policy, right? So that's why
Uh-huh.
it's so important to know what your policy says,
Yes.
because what that was on the website was misinterpreted. So then
Ah.
I called the customer service. It's a beautiful number that's on the back of your
Mhm.
insurance card. I called customer service and
Yeah.
said, "Hey, I need a case manager. I need to speak with someone." They issued me a case manager. I had her within about 48 hours. And
Mhm.
she called me. She's like, "Miss Brown, hi, my name is," we'll call her Susie. "My name is Susie, and I was told that you needed a case manager." I was like, "Yes, Susie. This is what they're telling me. This is not on my policy. I can see where they're getting it from." She went, "I've never even heard about what you're talking about." And I said, okay, well, can we go to the website together? She's like, absolutely. So she went there. She saw what they were seeing. But again, that had nothing to do with my policy. And it was actually a billing error. It was a difference in coding of what needed to be done
Mhm.
to fit for my authorization. And again, that's where also, I did not tell you guys, an EOB, explanation of benefits. When it is mailed to you. Anytime anything is billed, you get one. If you don't get one, get you a portal with your insurance company so you can
Mhm.
see it. So you can see exactly what
A
is billed.
EOB.
EOB,
Okay.
explanation of benefits. It will show what is billed, what is paid, what is sent out to the provider, what went towards your deductible, and they'll say, like for commercial insurance, they'll say, I think it's like tentative, or I'm not sure what the exact word is, but it says possibly, like it'll say what your copay should have been, and then if you didn't pay your copay, what you will owe.
Yeah. Mhm.
But that's called your EOB. Get on your portal, check your mail, look at those. That's so important. And so what Susie and I did, she was like, no, this is not what you are responsible for. The $1,500 cap has nothing to do with you, has nothing to do with your policy. And your son, with his complex medical condition, he
Mhm.
falls into a different category.
Mm.
So I will call, and she said, I will call. I will call the clinic for you. I will
That's
speak
good.
to the billing manager and
Yes.
I will explain it to them.
Whew.
Because, I mean, here's the thing. I used to get in trouble when I was little all the time for talking. But now I think it serves me well, because had I not called to get the case manager, then my
Yeah.
son would have been without services. And also, how many other kids would have been without services too that have his particular insurance because of a misinterpretation?
Yeah. And that's easy. I mean,
Yes.
very easy to not know, like literally. Literally. We got a question.
Oh, sorry.
Um, do you have an autism waiver in your state?
Yes, we do in Florida. We do have the autism waiver, but it goes through APD, which is Agency of Persons for Disability. So you have to get with APD. With right now here in Florida, it's about a 15-year wait, be on the waiting list. So yes. So
Is
anyone
is that
that's,
like common? Is that common to
from
be
what
that
I've
long?
heard, it's like in Texas, I want to say one lady told me it was like about 17 years. And so that's why it's so
Oh,
important to talk to your legislators, say, look, the data that you're seeing is not real. Because I mean, so many, this will be another topic for another day, but there's a lot of funds that just go back because they see it as not needed or not being used and not serviced. And so you've got to talk to your legislators, because there's no reason, with 1 in 44 kids being
wow.
diagnosed, why there is a 15-year wait list. Quite long too. 15. Oh, it's 15 in Arkansas too. So 15-year wait list
That's
for all of our
crazy.
kids. And the only
Wow.
way you can get bumped up is if there's a crisis, Courtney. I mean,
But
when
the
you are in,
kids gonna be grown.
right.
Like, I mean, God, the kids gonna be grown when you get your chance. That's crazy.
but
We
I
just
will
filled
say
out
is,
one. We
so
just filled one out. It's horrific. Wow.
yes. And
Ugh,
then also too, I will tell you, here in Florida, when you go to the website, it's very hard to find where the waiver is. It's like mixed in with a bunch of words. And then also, too, you cannot fill it out. I don't know if it's like that in Arkansas or other states, but you can't fill it out online. You have to fill it out on paper. So, I mean, what happens if you don't have a printer at home?
yeah.
So you got to
Yeah.
go to the library or call a friend and get them to print it out, and you fill it out. And
Wow.
then they want you to mail it in, not email it, mail it,
Who
snail
does
mail.
that? Who
So, and
mails
then,
anything? That's crazy.
Courtney, here's the problem with that. I mean, you got your file 13, which is your trash can right beside you, right? So you're getting all this mail. There's no proof that that person received it, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. It Shirley said she had to call a supervisor.
Oh
And
no,
she brought a
Shirley.
printer. Oh my goodness.
Oh my,
Wow.
800 pages?
That's crazy. Shirley,
Oh,
girl, where's she from? Arkansas. That's crazy, Arkansas.
oh my gosh, Shirley,
We got
I
to
am
get on
so
them. We
sorry.
got to get
Oh,
Arkansas.
and Courtney too, before I forget, your does not transfer state to state. So
Come
if
on
you
now. This
get
is crazy.
on the list here, right? You're on the waiting list.
Mm-hmm.
And say your husband gets a job in Colorado.
Yeah.
Your place on the waiting list here will not transfer to Colorado. You go back, you go to the bottom of their list. So if you've been waiting, say
Wow.
6, 7, 10 years, and you go to Colorado,
You
you're
got
to
to
the
start
bottom of the
over.
list.
Do you
It's start over.
know how much of a huge just issue is with our kids because of this stuff? Like our
Yeah.
kids can really, oh my god, it's a messed up system. You right, Shirley. This is crazy. Our
And
kids, this is why we can't move forward or get the things that we need for our children a lot of times is because of little stuff like this that does not have to be. Autism will not change. Somebody said that in the comments before. Autism does not go away like that. It does not go away. It may get better, but it doesn't go away. It's a
you know,
no-brainer. You
I
should
mean,
get it and got it.
and it takes interventions that we need the insurance companies to understand, right? And then, so with the, what was I going to say? So with the waiver, so once you
Oh
do,
yeah, the
so
waiver.
with the Medicaid waiver, right? So your Medicaid waiver, autism waiver, it's usually used interchangeably. So my son say, I put him on him when he's 3. By the time
Mhm.
he's 18, he may get approved, to have the waiver. So if he is still in need of services, or say he has to have a group home, or needs ongoing services, they'll pay for it, which will be helpful. But also, still, when it comes to, like, if he was to have to go into a group home, I mean, there's wait lists for those, and because they're so limited. And then the other thing, which Medicaid waiver made me think of, if your children are on Social Security, okay, just so you know, Social Security does recognize autism is in one of their criteria for approval.
Oh, well,
And
that's
then,
good. Now, when you say that, you're talking about the child will receive funds per month
yes,
for
so
social.
it
Oh, that's great.
is hold on. It's not the SSDI, it's the Social Security Supplemental Income. So the SSSI. Okay.
Now, is that in every state or is that just Florida?
Every state does have it,
Okay,
but
that's good.
it is good. But here's my
Oh,
but.
does it go by your income?
It does go by your income.
Oh my God.
Yes. So some of us may not qualify for it, but for those that do qualify for it, okay, here's what you need to know. So with SSSI,
Mm-hmm.
Medicaid comes with it, right?
Oh, that's good.
So you'll have your insurance that comes with the SSSI. But if you move to another state, not every state recognizes the insurance. So, example, if you were to move from Arkansas to Illinois, your Medicaid that you have with it in Arkansas will not automatically transfer to Illinois. You will have to get a different, I forgot, there's
But you don't have to start
seven.
over though. You don't have to start over
No,
completely,
you'll
right?
still get your SSI, because you'll qualify for it. You just won't have the insurance that's attached to it, because I want to say there's like seven. I know when you go like from Arkansas to Florida, the Medicaid automatically transfers. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's good. Arkansas to Florida, Florida to Arkansas, your Medicaid will automatically transfer. Arkansas to Illinois, Arkansas to, I think Tennessee is one of the states that it does not transfer. I'm not for sure, but I know there are certain states to where it will not transfer. And if it doesn't transfer, then you're having to find insurance for your child,
Wow.
right? And so
Wow.
then that's where you may be able to get into, like, if you have like a state NSC, a state policy, like gosh, I think it's called like Kid Care down here in Florida, where it's income based. So
Mhm.
you'll be able to, you'll have a premium, you'll still have a deductible, you'll still have your copays, but it won't be as expensive as like a like a commercial insurance policy. Or you may be able to add them on to, like, if a parent is working out, parents working, they have insurance, your child may be able to get onto your policy, because that's what they called a change of circumstance. So they
Mhm.
have lost their insurance,
Mhm.
and they will be able to be added onto your insurance, because the only time you can get insurance can change outside of open enrollment is a change of circumstance. So that would be someone gets pregnant, someone loses
Move.
their insurance, there's a
Yeah.
divorce, or someone
Yeah.
gets married and needs to be added on, those
Yeah.
things.
Mm. So
Yeah,
so does every insurance, if you do it that way that you're talking about, does every insurance company like honor autism?
that's a great question, Courtney.
I got good
um
questions.
I can't, that's a hard question too, because I don't, I will, I'll put it generally. Generally, I
Mhm.
would like to say that your insurance companies recognize autism, because it's 1 in 44. But
Mhm.
here's the kicker:
Mhm.
when you go to get a policy, or your policy is renewing at your company, you need
Mhm.
to know what the benefits are, because you're getting services for the diagnosis. Okay. So
Mhm.
you're getting PT, OT, speech, horseback riding therapy, music therapy, water therapy for the child with the diagnosis. So you need to know if your insurance, your policy has provisions for that,
Okay.
because they will see the F84.0, or for our kids, the older diagnosis. And then you will need to know if they will cover those therapies.
And the F84.0 is
The autism diagnosis under the
autism diagnosis. Okay.
DSM 5.
5. Okay. Okay,
Yes.
I'm trying to follow you. Okay. So usually people I guess people go over their policies, but like when you were listing all the therapies that a child can have, do they
Hmm.
have to have it listed like that like a what is it, a medical referral to whereas they would
Well,
need that, or does it just come with the policy itself?
um, if you get medical necessity
Yeah,
is
medical
usually
necessity.
key, medical necessity,
Yeah.
because I mean, you see horseback riding therapy, and if you're just a reviewer and you're if you're a reviewer and you're going through the motions and you see the autism diagnosis, you're like, okay, but you see like PTOT speech, I mean, they're almost like a rubber stamp now with approval, because they see so much and that's what they do. But you see music therapy, like, wait a minute, music therapy, case in point, my two youngest ones, music therapy wasn't a thing for my oldest one. Music therapy, my two youngest one get that. So we submitted it with the F84.0. Thought we'd be good to go. They've got autism. Music therapy is going to work. They use it for people that have had strokes. It's helped them with their memory. It's also helped them with various things. So we thought, no brainer, should be approval. Denied.
Ah!
Yes. It was then we had to go back and submit, and the music therapist
Um
and I got the pediatrician both to write a letter of medical necessity. And it
Okay.
was with that
Okay.
letter of medical
Okay.
necessity,
Okay.
resubmitting it, I was able to get them approved.
So the medical necessity thing is the key,
Yes, the
really.
letter of medical necessity. I mean, especially if you have a good rapport with your physician, because I mean, I feel like I have a really good rapport
Yeah,
with
yeah.
my kiddos' developmental pediatrician, the regular pediatrician. I was like, look, this is what they need. And this is why they need it. Like, sure, Miss Brown, no problem. I'll write that letter for you. Give me about 48 hours and go have it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's good, that's good. It's just so crazy that we gotta have a medical necessity from our doctor just to get therapy for something that is stated that it's for autistic kids and it'll help autistic kids develop different better than they would beforehand. So hold up, we got some in the comment. Can you put those codes in the chat, Carmen, that you were
Yes, yes,
talking
yes, yes.
about?
Yeah,
And
I can do that.
I had a referral to PCP to get ASD, PT, and OT.
Okay.
Oh, so yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
from the pediatrician, yeah, it's almost like you have to get a referral for pretty much everybody. Like
Yes.
it's shocking. I mean,
And
I
I
just
will tell
don't get it.
you, even too, Courtney, I don't mean to cut you off, but with the
No, you're
speaking of
fine.
the referral, I mean, I know just to even get services started, sometimes, now this is for you, everyone that suspects their child may be on the spectrum or just wants to get a second set of eyes on them. A lot
Mhm.
of times they'll say, we need to wait until their your 2 year old birthday. Okay. So my daughter, at 18 months, she only had 7 words, and she wasn't saying mama, she wasn't saying daddy, she was saying Riley, which is a dog, and she would say uh-oh, and those are the two main ones I remember. But she wasn't
Mhm.
able to say like cup or eat. I mean, eating's important to know that she's hungry, right?
Yeah.
And so I went to for her 18-month eval, and so I was
Mhm.
telling them, I was like, hey, she's 18 months, only has 7 words. And then they told me, okay, well, we're going to wait, come back at your 24 months, and, we'll talk about it then. And you know what I told them? I told them, no, we are not going to wait. I want a referral for speech. They said, well, we usually don't do that until 24 months. And I said, but look, here are our choices. She could either have 6 months of gain or 6 months of loss. Which do you think would be better?
Wow. Hey, did
And
y'all
so,
hear that? Hey, we listen. We got to get ruthless around here. If we want to get stuff done, you got to speak up for your child. Did
yes,
I
because
mean literally? And so, did it change the results?
it did. I walked out of
Absolutely.
there with my referral. I
Period.
did. I got my referral. I had it in hand because also two parents, when they say they're going to send it, they do send it. I believe they do, but sometimes it gets lost. Sometimes it doesn't get filed or whatever. But I always leave with one in my hand just in case.
More than often, it gets lost. More
Yes.
than
So
often, oh, we did send it, and then you talk to the other people. Oh, we didn't get it yet. Oh, I'm like, listen, like you said, have it in your hand. Just get a copy before you leave, if they can do
yes,
that, and then
that
you took it yourself.
I do that, and I have a Dropbox file to where I scan everything in. So if any given time
Ooh,
they need
that's good.
something,
That's
yeah,
good.
put in a Dropbox file. I have it. Each kiddo under Dropbox has their own file of
Oh, that's so
everything.
good.
Oh, you did. Oh, you didn't get that eval? No problem. I got it right here. And I'll just pull it up, email it to them.
Did
So
everybody
I don't
get
have to.
that? Everybody, listen, y'all writing these jewels down. Carmen is throwing out. Listen, y'all, that that is genius. Like, listen, we need that. It's gonna save you time. It's gonna
It
save you.
will.
It's gonna be effortless if we do this. Like literally. Yes, yeah. Shirley said you are your child's advocate. Absolutely, warrior mom. That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
that's right.
This
We
is
all
a
are.
continuous fight. This is a continuous fight. I mean, literally, if we don't do the things that we are learning from other autism moms like Carmen, man, I'm telling you, it is going to be more difficult. If you do
Hmm.
stuff like she just threw out, man, I didn't even think of that. Like
Yeah, I'm telling you, Courtney,
it's
because you
easy.
got you can have the scanner app on your phone. You get the paper, click, you scan it, upload to Dropbox, put in the file, you've got it. Because I mean, when we were starting, I mean, when we, especially if you move, like if you're a military family or you have your husband's job requires to travel or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and you move, you got to have those documents because they'll say, oh well, we didn't get, no problem, let me send it to you. Oh, the referral right here, send it to you. I mean, I went, let me tell you, it's one physician that I went to go see. It was my son's neurologist.
Mhm.
They said they sent, because my son has a history of seizures, they
Mhm.
said we didn't get any of his medical records. Oh, you didn't? Hmm, no problem. Whipped out my phone. All right, so here's the, I was like, I can send it to you. I can send it to your nurse. Where do I need
Yes,
to send it to?
I love
I mean,
it.
I keep paper copies. I mean, another time we'll talk about this big binder that I have of everything. But I had it all there for them. And it was, I mean, and when he saw that I was that organized and that efficient, I felt like that gelled our relationship at that moment because it was, all right, this mom is about the business. This mom is about
That's
getting
it.
help for her kid, you
I
know?
want everybody to hear that. The more serious you are with your with the people that are teaching, that are servicing your child, the more serious you are, the more they get serious because they know
Right,
you're not playing. And I mean,
right.
and that's just on period. And a lot of times, if you don't act serious, if you don't feel, if they act like you're nonchalant about stuff, they'll be nonchalant about your child. They
Hmm.
they they won't take it as serious as they need to take it, and that's the problem. Now, Carmen, I know that you were talking to me about holistic doctors, and I know a lot of people on here are interested in natural medicine, vitamins and stuff like this. So tell us about how insurance, or what insurance helps with as far as that's concerned.
Okay, so yes. Oh my gosh. So my youngest one, Xavier, 2 years old, no
Mhm.
words, not interested, just staring at me. I mean, truly, like when you think of the whole locked in, he was locked in. I mean, his bubble, not interested in coming out of it. So I started watching, reading about, the gut. We talk so much about the gut, but the gut truly is the second brain. And then I started following this holistic doctor out of Connecticut called Jeffrey Scouring. He's on Facebook every Thursday noon. It's called Spectrum Awakening. So I started following him, right? And
Spectrum
so he was
Awakening,
talking
guys.
about, huh? What
We're
now?
gonna put that. We're gonna have to make sure we put that in the comments. So
Yes.
yeah.
So I started following him, got an appointment with him. And granted, he's in Connecticut, okay? But I was like, I need help with my son. I need him to talk. What do I need to do? And we truly worked because with supplements and anything holistic, it's the individual approach, right? So when you go to traditional medicine, you say you have a headache. They say, okay, we'll take acetaminophen. Well, you may have a chemical makeup that acetaminophen is not going to work, right? So
Mhm.
you need something else. Like maybe instead, Courtney can take can take Tylenol, but I need Advil or I need Excedrin. Because
Mhm.
everyone has to be individualized. With holistic medicine, they take. I mean, that's why it's called holistic, right? Because it's to treat the whole
Whole
body,
body. Yeah.
not just a portion of the body. So, and I will also tell you, if you guys have not had genetic testing, get it for your children. Doesn't matter how old they are, you will learn so much about your child, like even to the point of what medications they can take, what medications they can't take. I mean, why some of the food that they've been taking doesn't it interacts or they get have certain results. I mean, you will
Mhm.
learn so much about your child. I will tell you, it is not cheap, but if you see a genetics counselor, this is what I did. I went to a genetics counselor and got my insurance to pay for it going through a genetics counselor and then I was able to take the results because I got insurance to pay for it, right? Take the
Mhm.
results, then go to my holistic doctor. And then he was able to read and interpret it and then say, okay, this is where we are with Xavier. Yes, everything mapped out with the chromosomes. There's no double copying, but we have he's predisposition to several different diseases. He was able to break to tell us about. I mean, a lot of the reason why he hasn't come out of the fog was because he um oh gosh, the gluten he had a whole lot of inflammation in his tummy. He had a whole lot of inflammation in his brain. It was just a matter of he was deficient in D, he was deficient in B12, and your B vitamins. I didn't know this, but are so important for brain building and language. I mean, so knowing that we were able to build and get him on, because he takes different supplements than my daughter takes, than my son takes. I mean, they all have their own regimen. But I mean, had I just stuck with going to, because Xavier never presented that he had a headache. You know,
That's
he wasn't
right.
always laying down all the time. I mean, it was what was normal
Carmen.
for him, you know?
Carmen, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, man, our kids can't tell us, my stomach hurt, my head hurt, or my back, they can't tell us. So this information is so, so important, y'all. Like, literally. And now, the way you did it, you went from a genetic doctor, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And then that genetic doctor gave you the information you needed that you could take to the holistic doctor.
So we did genetic testing, and so we are
Genetic
actually on our
testing.
third form of genetic testing right now. I don't remember what it's called, but it's another deeper dive. We just got finished with the one where they did
Wow.
looked over the two 2000 genes. So we just did that one, and then there was one before where they're testing for Fragile X and I can't remember the mitochondrial. So they were testing for those two things first. Then we did the one with the 2000 genes. Now, since we only looked at 2000 genes, we're going to do a deeper dive into more genes. And so
Wow.
insurance is paying for all of that. That's not coming out of my pocket, because your average genetic test is about like $1,000. I feel like it is. So I mean, and that's just your
Wow.
basic one. So I'm getting insurance to pay for this by going to a geneticist, but I had to get my referral from my developmental pediatrician.
Girl, you got to put all this in the comments. We got to know the steps. So is this every state? Like, is this every
I
state we can do this?
I feel strongly you could, because you're getting the referral
From the
from your
doctors.
doctor, and then your
Transfer.
genetics writes the order for it and then goes from there.
Y'all
Mhm.
listen to this? This is
Yes.
everything
That
right now. This is everything right now. We can listen. We really got to do a deep dive in this, Carmen. Like, this is so important for everybody to hear. This
it
is
is.
this is like amazing. Tell us more about this holistic doctor. Does he take
Oh yeah.
everybody?
So anyways, he's out of he's in Connecticut. He's amazing. If you guys never joined Taka, they have great conferences twice a year. They usually have one. The big one is they usually have one in April, and their big one is in oh my gosh, October is the big one. But it's talk about curing autism is what it stands for. But he is a part of that, right? So I've been a TACA member for years. But Dr. Scouring out of Connecticut, Spectrum Awakenings. So but Xavier, let me tell you, he had therapy at 7:30 this morning, which I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I forgot. Therapist is knocking at the door. I'm like, who's knocking at my door at 7:30 in the morning? I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot about you. So anyways, as she was leaving, she said, bye, Xavier. Now, mind you, he is so we've been doing this for 6 months, okay?
Mhm.
Remember, no words. No words, people. She said, bye, Xavier. Have a good day. And he said, direct eye contact to her, looked at her and said, bye. And her name's Jasmine. Bye, Yasmin. Good day. Ooh. I mean, sentence
Ah!
right there. She and I looked at each other and looked at him, and he just had the smile like, yeah, I did it. I did it. It's like, oh my goodness. But it was just about getting, I mean, yes,
Wow.
definitely just having the right, your team, right? We got to have your team, but having the right PT, OT speech. I mean, we do ABA,
Mhm,
but also
mhm.
now you have to get ready for therapy in order to receive the therapy. So we're doing all the therapy and we weren't getting maximum benefits because his brain was fogged and his gut was inflamed. So basically he's walking around like a mad little dude, but we didn't know he was a bad little dude, he just felt terrible. And now that he's feeling better, we're seeing more of his personality. He's
Oh,
actually going up to kids and looking at them, wanting to play with them.
oh,
They told me at his ABA that a little boy was crying and he actually took them a ball. I mean, that's initiation. Like, I'm showing empathy. You are sad. Here's a ball. This would make you feel better. A ball makes me feel better. This should make
yes,
you feel better.
yes.
I
Now,
mean,
is this holistic? So can he do now, is this for every age or is it for adults too?
yes, he was
Or
actually a medical doctor. I encourage everyone that is listening. I mean, I'm a huge Dr. Skyrim fan, but there are holistic doctors in your state. You can go to, I think it's MAPS, MAPS, medical. Oh, I can't remember, but basically it's doctors that specialize in our kiddos. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And so you can also like Google holistic doctors that specialize with autism. And a lot of them, they don't take insurance. Okay. So that's the crummy part. But
Mm,
depending on what your policy is, got to know your policy.
yes.
You could take that, you need to request what's called a super bill. Request your super bill,
Super
which
bill.
will have show the will show the charges and what it was for, and submit that to your insurance. You'll have to do it. So submit it to your insurance company,
Mhm,
and your out of net, if you have out of network benefits, your out
mhm.
of network benefits may cover some of it. So I mean, for a $500 visit, you might get $100 back. And that's better than nothing.
Yes,
So
yes.
a super bill is what you need to ask for.
Man, this has been amazing. We're about to hit an hour, but listen,
Man,
Carmen,
that went by
you
so
it
fast.
did, it did. We like 57 minutes in. Listen, y'all, Carmen did amazing tonight. Listen, she is one of our group experts in Autism Moms Believe exclusive community. If you are not a part of our community, please, please go over and join our private group. It's amazing. The community is amazing. Her and 6 more amazing autism moms are group experts. So she'll be in there to answer any questions that you may have. Just tag her. It's Carmen Brown. Just tag her and
Yep.
she'll be able to assist. She is also going to put in there too all the information that if we can remember, all the information
Right.
that she gave us. And we might have to listen to the replay and then have her put it all in there. But she will do it. And then I'll also send it over to our main page so everybody can actually take a look at the holistic doctor that she was mentioning. All of yes, oh yes, we always do events in the comments. We always
Mhm.
do events. And Carmen actually comes on once every single month. So you'll see
Yep.
her
Mhm.
every month now. Let me tell you something. She's not gonna be talking about insurance every time. She's gonna
No.
be talking about
Mm-mm.
what she want to talk about. So she'll have a topic. This was just the insurance topic, but she will be having phenomenal topics all throughout the year just to help. And then she also does a lot of community based stuff. Man, I mean, and it's just not for the state of Florida because she stays in the state of Florida. No, she really knows a lot of information about every single state. So if you have questions, you can also DM her or DM, the group or DM the page. I'll make sure she gets the information so she can reach out to you. She loves to do this. We love this is what we do. This is what
Right.
we do. And all we're going to do is just grow and progress. She's also going to put those codes in there that we talked about so you can
Right. Mhm.
understand, what you're looking at while you're looking at it on your policy. Like it's just a lot. It's just a lot that we do not know. And so this is the only reason why Autism Moms Believe is here is because we know that we don't know. We know
Right.
that is all of us are different and all of us know different information. And so
Yep.
we come together, we collab together, then we'll be able to receive all the information that's needed. So again, please go get in the group. Make sure that you just answer the 3 questions and you in there. There's no nothing. Just go on in there and look for Carmen Brown. And I'm sure if you give her maybe an hour, she'll have it already inside
Yep.
of
Mhm.
the group. She does that really well. If you have questions, concerns, and then also, and Carmen, tell them a little bit about where you volunteer at as well for
Oh
resources.
yes. So there is a volunteer. It's a abilities workshop. It's a nonprofit that was started by a mom who has a kiddo on the spectrum that was trying to, how do I get these answers? How do I get this started? How do I disseminate it? But she does parent workshops for she does workshops for parents, teachers, and pastors to help kids be their best selves. I do a coffee with Carmen segment
Mhm.
every Tuesday, every other Tuesday. But we just kind of get together and just talk about what's going on, what's needed, what is going well. So I mean that's done on Tuesdays, and then also I volunteer. Oh, there's one thing you can actually find me on. I don't know if you guys are on the Now Network, but you can find me on the Now Network, which is a spiritual group, and I do a segment called Table Talks with God on rock and spirituality, and so it's just different topics. I do personal testimonies about my walk with God through this, and then also I volunteer with it's called the Special Needs Alliance Coalition. So that's down here in Florida. Then also Community Connections in Arkansas. I do still have connections with them as well too, to help with volunteer, with buddies, just to help continue things going. And then I'm also part of a group called Labeled in Love that's out of Texas too.
Awesome, man, phenomenal. Listen, Carmen gonna put all that in the in the group so she can let y'all know how amazing she is. She gonna put it all in there. I'm gonna be listen, Carmen, make sure you put it all in there.
I
Seriously.
will. If I forget something, people, please remind me because my brain is woo.
Yes, and I'm gonna try to copy it and put it on our main page as well. But this is it. We had 2 sessions for this month. Next month we'll be on it. And we'll start on the 1st of February. We're very, very excited about this stuff. 2023 is amazing. On the 1st of February, we'll have Miss Katrina Hayes. She'll be coming up. And as you can see, she's a coach, an author, a speaker, and a scientist. So she has an amazing story. She's going to be talking to us about so much stuff, so much things that she's been going through and what she has gone through beforehand. She's also going to talk about fitness, a little bit of fitness as well. All of that stuff is important to us because we are autism moms. But just be on the lookout for that. But other than that, that's it, y'all. We passed an hour. I said we wasn't gonna go past an hour on no session. So we love you all with the love of Christ, peace, and blessings. Thank you all so much. And until next time, it always seems impossible until it's done. We're out. Have a good night.
Bye,